was 34 years old thinking, what am I going to do next? Because I'm not sure if I want to do this anymore. But then I started to have former clients, former colleagues, just people I knew reaching out to me and asking if I was still doing some freelance copywriting to be able to help them with their social media. Maybe they were having an event going on and they wanted to reach out to the media to get coverage, website projects, people who are going on maternity leave, and they just needed someone to fill in. That's really how Green Onion Creative started, was from my kitchen table 12 years ago. And I didn't have a business plan. I didn't even have a logo. I didn't even have a name, right? It all had to happen organically.
Hello, everyone. We are live today with Michele Tonkovitz, the founder of Green Onion Creative, a Milwaukee-based marketing agency that has been growing brands nationwide for over 12 years. Michele is not just a business owner. She describes her personal purpose as empowering, encouraging, and energizing everyone she meets. And I'm really excited to have her on today's show. Welcome, Michele.
Thank you so much, Kwame, for reaching out to me and having me on the show. It was such a pleasure talking to you prior to this podcast recording. And I really just look forward to our conversation today and where this is going to keep going and growing.
You are warmly welcome, and I appreciate your kindness as well. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Michele Tankovitz. I am the founder of Green Onion Creative in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, like Kwame said. I started my agency 12 and a half years ago, but I knew as a child that I wanted to be in marketing and advertising and public relations because my auntie was a media buyer. And I got to experience all the wonderful things from her career opportunities, from going to sporting events to water parks. She even met celebrities. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I used my love of creative writing as a child to really grow this career in advertising, marketing, and public relations.
Knowing what you want to do when you are a child is very rare, especially in my generations, whereby there are a lot of opportunities to pursue.
And that's what I am really grateful for my position today. So I'm quite a bit older than you, Kwame. I'm in my mid 40s. But again, I was really focused at a young age. And I think that helps position me to be a great mentor, a coach, a leader to not only young professionals like you, but others who are already established in their career or maybe taking a next step in their career.
Wow, that is really good. I like that stance. From our last conversation, you said you started Green Onion Creative and you had no idea what you were doing. Take me back to that moment when you were like around 34 years and you decided to start your own agency. What happened then, and how did you gather that courage to start something you had no idea of doing?
So as I said, I knew that this was the industry that I wanted to be in. So as soon as I graduated, actually when I was still in college, I started to do internships at ad agencies. I worked after graduation in ad agencies. I went to work in-house marketing. And the last agency I was in, it just it gave me a different perspective on what it was like to be in that environment. And so the agency and I parted ways, and I literally was sitting at my kitchen table and I was 34 years old thinking, what am I going to do next? Because I'm not sure if I want to do this anymore. But then I started to have former clients, former colleagues, just people I knew reaching out to me and asking if I was still doing some freelance copywriting to be able to help them with their social media. Maybe they were having an event going on and they wanted to reach out to the media to get coverage, website projects, people who are going on maternity leave, and they just needed someone to fill in. So that's really how Green Onion Creative started, was from my kitchen table 12 years ago. And I didn't have a business plan. I didn't even have a logo. I didn't even have a name, right? It all had to happen organically. And so through this idea of the word of mouth referrals from people who worked with me at previous employers, that's how Green Onion Creative really started, until one of those clients said, "We really like the way that you approach content, and we need you to become a real company because we have this contractor agreement we need you to sign." And so it was because of the faith of someone else that Green Onion is here today.
Oh, well, I love that honesty because most founders try to act like they had a perfect 10-year plan from day one, but admitting you were figuring it out as you went makes your success even more impressive.
Well, thank you. And that's it. I have a love of writing. I'm a great creative writer. I did pick up a lot of marketing strategy along the way, but I'm not an accountant and a bookkeeper, right? I needed to hire people and align myself with people to take care of those services for me. I needed contracts to protect myself and to protect my clients. So you can go find things on the internet, but nothing beats having a true legal professional on your side, right? So I had to work with attorneys to get those agreements put in place. You have to have business insurance. So I needed to reach out to a couple of different um, insurance agents to find out what was the best kind of coverage I needed to meet my client needs and requirements, but also to protect myself and stay within an affordable budget. So there are a lot of different things that business owners, we do have to wear a variety of hats because there's a lot of responsibilities and functions that we need to oversee, but you don't have to do them all. And I know it can seem like it's cheaper to do it yourself, but the cost of the stress and anxiety, the time and the risk of error just isn't worth it always.
And yeah, one thing that stands out is how you didn't wait to feel fully ready before you started. You moved with what you had and you learned fast. You kept the focus on doing good work for real clients. A lot of founders nowadays get stuck trying to perfect the plan before they even start. And your story shows another path that you need to start with a clear reason, build confidence through the delivering, and let the system come after you've proven what works. And that's a useful reminder for anyone listening who is in that scenario whereby you don't know when you are fully ready. Because I've also experienced the same thing as well. When I started my business, I actually had less knowledge in what I was doing. So as I went on and I was connecting with leaders, the path started to become clearer. And then, as you said, you needed your insurance and everything along the way. I also experienced a moment whereby I had to change business my business vision and the mission. I had to tweak a few things in the messaging because I met with some leaders who guided me along the way. So I resonate with the part of your story as well.
And I love that. And again, that part of the story resonates no matter if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 60s, right? These are the commonalities that there are no boundaries and barriers and time zones, right? Where we're located, what our age is. These are common concerns that founders of companies have. And whether you are already getting started or you're just considering it, there's a lot to be said about having confidence in what you're doing, having clarity, right? But sometimes we're building the plane in flight, right? We have to take off. We have to start moving and continue to keep this thing just going really strong, and and we have to make changes and fixes along the way.
That's really true. And you wrote this solo for 7 years before building a team. What was happening in the year 6 or 7 that made you realize you couldn't or shouldn't do it alone anymore?
Yes. So it really was me, just the solopreneur doing a lot of content writing. I have a wonderful connection network full of graphic designers and web designers that I would tap into. But specifically with regards to content, one of my clients, who is an international manufacturer, they had me they pulled me aside one day and said, "We can't figure out how to clone you in our lab, so we need you to hire people." And it was a really interesting situation because I had not ever thought of bringing on employees and growing my business in that way. But they needed the ability to have more content, and I just couldn't satisfy that need. So they actually had two writers in mind that they brought to me and said, "We want you to interview these two people. We think that they could be good fits. We would then want you to train, coach, mentor, lead them in the copy development so that we could have three people working on the volume of content needs versus just one person." And so that's really how Green Onion Creative, again, started to go and grow. It was through the belief and the backing of another client that just really saw what I was able to accomplish, but knew that I could do more with a team to support me. And so that was really exciting. 7 years ago, took that leap. And now today we have had additional employees, right, that satisfy way more needs, especially in this time and place of SEO and AI. Our content just becomes more rich and stronger with the right keywords and pulling all the right levers.
Wow, wow. It's really brave to admit that because a lot of leaders try to look like they've built it all under control, but being open about how scary it felt to delegate shows how much you cared about the quality of the work. And a lot of people reach to the point where they realize their business can only grow as much as they do. Because if the founder is doing everything themselves, the business is stuck at the size of one person. Moving past that fear is the only way to actually gain your time back. Um, Once you hired someone and gave them tasks to do, what did you do with that extra time? Did you find it easy to focus on bigger things, or did you find yourself wanting to jump back in and help them?
So I think it's a combination of the two. When I now have the team to take on some of the work, right? At first, it was a lot of coaching and mentoring, like I said, because I needed to build their confidence and trust in the work that they were doing, and I had to feel the same way. But once I knew that they were set, then it gave me opportunities to look at more new business options for us to continue to grow our client base, as well as it gave me an opportunity to look more at our systems. Were we having the right project management tool in place? Does it integrate with our time tracking tool? How does that work with QuickBooks, which is our invoicing and estimating tool? So the hats that I had to wear from a content creative perspective had then shifted more to business operations, to the point where I was able to bring on a manager who really helped clean up and spearhead some of the efforts that we needed, right? Because then I needed an employee handbook, right? That was a whole nother thing that I didn't have to worry about before. I needed to have different types of agreements in place for non-compete. So I had to engage with the attorneys. And so now today with my team in place, they're doing amazing things with the content, social media, public relations, graphic design, website. So now I have more opportunities to be on podcasts like this, to go out and network, to share my knowledge, to find prospective new clients and really get a chance to learn about their business and if it's going to be a good fit for us to help them. And that's how we grow. We really do it very organically through relationship building and a lot of transparency.
Wow, true relationship building and a lot of transparency. That's one of the most relevant ways to really get your team strong together. And I like your stance in the fact that you imputed a part of your skill in the people you hire. Because if you hadn't do that, everything could have fallen apart easily. So, uh,
Absolutely. So every morning I wake up and I read a quote for the day, and that helps me set my intentions. And the quote today was about, what would you do if I wasn't afraid of something? And So it made me take a look at my fears, and my thoughts that I wrote about it were from a business perspective, what keeps me up at night? What worries me? What am I afraid of? Because we have grown and we have these different business systems in place and they have to align with the business bank accounts, and then you have to think about business taxes, right? There there are some misconnects and disconnects happening, but I'm working with my trusted advisor team and my financial team and my accounting team to overcome those fears. And it's like if I had once those fears are overcome and I know everything is running wonderfully, it's like, what would I do if I wasn't afraid anymore? Well, the first thing I wrote was I would give my team a much needed upgrade to one of our systems so that they could be even more amazing than what they are. And the second thing I would do, if once that fear of all the financials getting settled is alleviated, is I wanna give them a raise. My team works very hard and they deserve it. So when I think about, right, the things that keep you up at night, financials for most business owners is one of them. But don't see it as a negative, see it as an opportunity to make adjustments so that you really can get on the other side and make that fear now a positive, because then with that positive, like that positive revenue stream, right, that additional money, that greater clarity, then I see that as a positive and an opportunity for me to upgrade things for my team, give them raises, and let us continue to grow greatness together.
Hmm. Seeing and using the fear as an opportunity to grow in a positive way. It's a really strong statement. Something I learned lately about eagles is when a storm is coming, they do not fly away. All the other animals fly away, but then the eagle flies into the storm and then hover over it and then will be flying on the storm. So it taught me that whenever a challenge comes your way, in this case, fear, as you said, you should use it as opportunity to grow and to build yourself no matter what. Because the challenges are gonna come every time, every moment, even when you do not expect it. It's around the corner always. So I learned recently that whenever a challenge comes upon me, I will rather go into it no matter what and use it as a lesson to build myself up instead of the challenge breaking me apart.
Absolutely. And I know for myself, sometimes I'm not afraid of challenge, right? And I will look at face on. Sometimes I want to run right into it. And sometimes now I'm realizing that I need to take a pause and maybe take a step back, right? Even step aside to reassess the situation and get that greater clarity, that confidence, trust in myself and the surroundings, right? The people I'm working with, maybe the situation at hand. It's okay to take that pause, but don't turn away from the fear. You have to face it head on, but do it more mindfully, and you're going to get towards a better outcome for you, your clients, your family, whatever the situation is. But absolutely be be ready to go fly into the storm, because the storm's not going to go away. You can't hide from it.
No, no, be ready to fly over it indeed. I love that you call yourself a chief hole poker. That's someone who looks for gaps and areas that need strengthening in your team's work. How did you develop that leadership style and how do you balance being detail oriented without micromanaging and crushing your team's creative confidence?
Yes. So the chief hole poker, that's me. I poke the holes in the content, in the designs, in the strategy, all the things, because I want to look at every project that we're working on and the components to it, not from the mindset as a marketing expert, but who the end user is going to be, right? So your customer or your client may not have the great a knowledge as you do, as the business owner, as the marketing team, as the developer. And so you need to look at every opportunity in through the eyes of another person. And so that's exactly what I do. I started my career as a proofreader, so I was trained to look for errors. And so right? Because I was trained to look for errors. It just strengthens the quality, the clarity of the work that we're doing. And so that's really how this idea of being a chief hole poker came in. And so as I built my team, I always told them, when I give you edits, when I give you commentary, it is not in any way, shape, or form trying to say that I don't believe in your work or the quality of it, because I absolutely do. If I didn't, you wouldn't be working next to me, right? I really value the relationships and the people. It's only an opportunity for me to help you strengthen the quality and the work that we're doing. So we're providing our clients with the very best output possible, and they can provide their customers and clients as well for the greatest product or service that they deserve.
Well, our train for navigating errors is such a interesting skill I would love to have. And yeah, that approach is also vital for growth because it prevents the team from becoming too comfortable. And in many agencies, employees stop checking their own work because they expect owner to catch the errors. But by poking the holes, instead of just fixing things yourself, you are forcing the team to think for themselves as well. And you aren't just a safety net, but you are teaching them how to build a stronger foundation so that the mistakes don't happen in the first place. When you find a gap in the project, do you give them the answer right away, or do you ask them a question or wait for them to find the solutions themselves?
I think it's a combination of the two. Depending on what the project is, I may just have a greater level of knowledge through my years of experience, whether it's working directly with the client or just in the industry in general. So there might be times where I see the gap and I'm coming to them with the answer, especially with our younger professionals, because they just don't have as much career experience, life experience. But then with others, it's one of those where I may make a suggestion or say, I think we need more clarity here. Think back to that meeting. Was there something in your notes? And I'll kick it back to them, because sometimes we can just get in our heads a little bit too much as well. And again, when we have that level of knowledge, because we've been working for, a client for the last 10 years, we take a little bit for granted the fact that we know so much. And
Hmm.
so that's where we also use systems to help check our work. There are things where we really want it to be at like maybe a ninth grade reading level. So, if I'm looking at something and it's feeling too technical, I'll go back and say, hey, can we, you know, figure out some ways to simplify these ideas? Maybe it's just as easy as putting things in bullet points to make it more digestible. Um, so so sometimes it's a combination of the two. I'll give the answer, or in other times I'll just give a little bit of guidance towards the answer.
Okay, understood. During our previous conversation, and as I already said, your purpose is to empower, encourage, and energize people. And that's very sure an intentional mindset that you have. When did that clarity come to you, and how do you operationalize that purpose in client work versus just keeping it as a personal mantra?
So I love this idea of my purpose being to empower, encourage, and energize really came about in July of 2025. I had started working with a new business coach, and this business coach just approached the coaching experience completely different than any other coach I had worked with before, in the sense of she began with looking at me. And because I am the business owner and my business and my brand is so reflective of me, I really needed to know first and foremost who I am, what's my identity, and what's my purpose, because a lot of those things carry over into my business. And that's the reason a lot of people like to work with Green Onion Creative, is because they've met me, they've listened to me, they've seen me, they've heard of me. And so it's really important that the things that I hold dear are also the marching orders for my company as well. And so, you know, In addition to owning Green Onion Creative, I teach fitness classes in my community. I'm president of our local marketing association. I'm surrounded by professionals and the public in a lot of different ways. And I think everybody should have the ability to be empowered into what they're doing, whether it's from their health and wellness standpoint through fitness classes, whether it's for advancing their career, or wanting to learn and connect and grow through the marketing association, or whether it's coming to Green Onion Creative for help with their marketing, advertising, and public relations. I want everybody to feel empowered that they are worthy and deserving of something greater. Through right? So that's part of the purpose. Then when we look at encouragement, right? I can't do it alone. I need other people on the team, whether they're the employees, whether they're volunteers, whether you're a participant. I want everybody to feel really confident in what they're doing and that I back them, right? So encouraging you because that when you feel that a sense of empowerment and you have that encouragement, you're excited, you're energized about the work that you're doing. You're excited and energized about the projects at hand. You're excited and energized about the workout that we're going to do. And so that's where it really all comes together from both personal perspectives and how it plays out into my business.
Wow, that's a really strong, and it's rare to hear a founder define success by how people feel, even after a meeting, rather than just by the numbers. And it shows that you prioritize the human side of the business, which is likely why your client and team stays loyal to you. You mentioned also that you love mentoring young entrepreneurs because you want them to know all the great things, but you also know the not so great things as well. Based on your 25 years in the industry and the few years you've used in running Green Onion, was that one not so great thing that you wish someone had warned you about?
Absolutely. So there have been a lot of wonderful moments in my 25 years in marketing and advertising. There have also been, as the founder of Green Onion Creative, some moments in the last 12 years where I'm like, this sucks. I wish, I wish I would have known more earlier on about how to better plan budgeting, right? Um, because that's a huge thing. I mean, just yesterday, I found out that one of our subscriptions that we have is increasing their costs, and I anticipate that more of those subscriptions are going to be increasing their costs. And so, I wish because I'm more words oriented versus numbers and math oriented, I wish I would have had a stronger foundation earlier in starting the business, how business financials work, how to put the right amount of money away for taxes, how to make sure that you're paying yourself a reasonable compensation, how to make sure that you are budgeting for these subscriptions because not everything happens on a monthly basis, it happens on an annual basis. So, do you need special bank accounts put in place so you can do those things? Um, I also think from the perspective of AI becoming more and more popular and relevant today, and it's not going to go away. This is one of those things too when people are like, "Are you using AI?" We absolutely are, but AI means so many different things to so many different people and so many different businesses. So I it it kind of sucks that there's so much out there because I can't take it all in, but that's okay. I don't need to take it all in. And so I don't want anybody to feel that they need to be overwhelmed by what's happening because that's a big pitfall too. You don't have to be everything to everybody. You just need to be really good at the things you do for the right target audience. And so I really encourage entrepreneurs out there too to make sure that you're looking at who your ideal client is. Because when I started, I was going to do everything for everybody that I could do. And that worked for a while, but that's not sustainable. So I really encourage and challenge the entrepreneurs listening out there to take a look at your services and who your ideal client is and really focus in on those opportunities versus having the broad brushstroke of trying to want to be everything to everybody.
Wow. Target what you're doing and do your best for everybody. Wow. Um, when I see you 3 to 5 years from now, what does success look like for Green Onion?
What does success look like for Green Onion right now?
Yeah, for
Well,
you in the next 5 years,
in the
where
next
do you wanna be? Yeah, with Green Onion.
yeah. So there are a lot of wonderful things taking place right now that are going to set us up for success in the next 5 years. Again, I went through the business coaching program about 8 months ago, and that's really provided a good foundation for short-term goals and long-term goals. So we're doing a reevaluation of a lot of our systems to make sure that we have the right things in place for what the needs are today and that are going to be um, usable in the future. I'm also working with my team. Again, many of them are the young professionals where I can coach them, train them, mentor them, because I believe that they're going to be the future leaders of Green Onion Creative. That in honestly, 3 years from now, that they have been all elevated to leadership roles that I don't have to do much in the business on a daily basis, that I have so much confidence and trust in them because they're clear on the things that they need to do and they're being amazing doing them, that Green Onion can be more leadership driven and not just so much Michelle driven, because that's going to open me up for opportunities to be able to do more one on one personal coaching, to go out and do more podcasts and maybe do some more speaking engagements and become involved in other boards and help other organizations beyond just what Green Onion Creative can do from a marketing and creative standpoint.
That's a really strong mission, and I love that. And I'm probably gonna sign up for your entrepreneur mentorship.
Oh, I would love to be able to have you as one of my first. I don't even know what we would call it, mentors? Yes. Yes, Kwame, I would love to be able to help guide you and coach you and mentor you along the way.
It's gonna happen. It is going to happen. I'll contact you, and wherever I feel not sure, we will talk more.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
And do you have any last remarks for our audience?
I just wanna tell everybody to remember that pressure and heat together make diamonds. And so when times are tough, right? The pressure's on, the heat maybe licking your backside. Don't worry. You've got this and you are going to come out sparkling and beautiful on the other side.
Pressure and heat makes diamonds. Thank you, Michelle. It was a pleasure having you on today's show. Your insights were really kind and clear. I really appreciate your time and openness. Thank you very much.
And I look forward to being back on the show again in the future so we can keep the conversation going and growing.
Yes, we will be recording more episodes, so that will definitely happen. So, guys, that's a wrap for today. I hope to see you in the next episode. If you haven't subscribed, that would be a good bye for now. But if you have, I will see you in the next episode. Remember, we are here to grow and learn in this community. Thank you very much. See you in the next episode. Bye.